Hello, beautiful people of the internet. I watched a debate between Milo Yiannopoulos, whatever, Milo difficult Greek last name, and a feminist called Rebecca Reid. And I have a few comments about that video, about that debate. I think it was a good one, especially for Milo, which showed his favorite highlights. But all in all, it was rather civilized. They were sort of kind to each other. And I don't know, it makes me hopeful that we will see more feminists actually agree to debate these issues in the future, as they can look at this one and see that, in fact, no one stabbed her with a pitchfork or set her on fire or anything bad happened to her. They just talked, and then everybody went home, had some ice cream, and had a good time. Anyway, here are my comments. Here's the video, and I'll stop and interject my comments in between.
The rest of the year. What she hears is, I'm paid 77 cents to a male dollar, or whatever, right? This is based on a conflation of wages and earnings. No woman is paid less for the same work as a man. That's illegal. And if they were, yes, companies would be full of them. Women don't apply for jobs at the same rates as men. It wouldn't matter. Employers would hire the women anyway because they're cheaper. It doesn't make any difference. And frankly, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny either. Because if you start looking at studies that are coming out now, Cornell, 2015, women going into STEM subjects have a 2-to-1 advantage over men going for the same jobs. Fewer women do apply, but they all get the jobs.
You've got to have had the degree, you've got to have done STEM, you've got to have the A-levels, the GCSE, and then the degree.
Yes, and when women choose to do that, they have a 2-to-1 advantage over men in the workplace, and they get paid less than men.
When they choose to do it, yes. But you have to decide, in England, you have to try at 15 if you're going to do sciences or not. And at 15, women and girls aren't encouraged to do so. So yes, they're more likely to, but the amount of them doing it is vanishing, well, not vanishingly rare, quite rare.
Okay, so she makes a point here. She is conceding that, yes, once a woman decides to go into whatever STEM field, she does get significant advantage over a boy, a man doing the same thing. This is not equality, of course. You could say it's affirmative action, I guess, but definitely not equality. But her response to this is that, yes, this is true, but girls are less encouraged to do this, and therefore they are still the victims of this system, I guess, patriarchy or whatever. My question is, encouraged by who? Certainly, obviously, the largest influence on someone, a young kid growing up, is their parents. So if their parents decide to encourage their girls to study science or STEM or mathematics or physics or whatever it is, then they could develop an interest in that. I mean, I don't think it's only if I encourage someone from a young age to do something, then 100% they will go do it. I don't think it's close to 100%. They might just not like it. That raises an interesting question of what influences someone's interests and hobbies and the things that they feel passionate about. But that's another issue. The point is, it's the parents deciding. If the parents decide to encourage their girls to go to study, to learn about STEM and mathematics and such, then yeah, then they have been encouraged to do so. And if not, then they won't. If parents are indifferent, then they will choose whatever they want to. And girls, even at the age of 15 or 14 or 12, you already have some kind of perspective of what the world is, and they can see that the most high-paying jobs are in STEM. Once they get to those ages, 14, 15, 16, start getting their first jobs and have some kind of clue on what's going on in the world and sort of align themselves toward those positions. Or they could develop their own interest in this. So I just don't accept this kind of argument.
Again, you have to explain, if you believe that the number of women in STEM subjects is too low because women are not being encouraged to do science subjects, there aren't enough women in physics and maths and philosophy, you have to explain why women dominate biology, why women dominate medicine.
Because of the girly sciences.
What does that mean?
They're the sciences that are more linked to caring professions.
I don't think you should make generalisations like that. Some people find that kind of offensive.
Would you care to define what you mean by girly sciences?
Because girly sciences, particularly with particularly medicine and vet med, there's a caring aspect to those when you're working. They're the kind of nurturing. That's not what I.
And then when he shows a couple of STEM fields, like medicine and biology, then this is the most ridiculous response. Those are the girly scientists. They have something to do with caring. They are perceived as a lesser. Really stretching here. Just not. It's not convincing. I'm sorry.
That's not fair. That's not very nice things about men, though. They are the sciences that lend themselves to more caring professions. Therefore,
Women are more caring than men.
By caring, what do you mean by caring?
as in the more.
It's just sexism.
No, please let her finish.
Women are more caring than men.
By saying this, I'm not condoning it. I'm saying it's the way it is. I think my perception of it is that gender is more of a spectrum, and you get people at different ends of the spectrum that have different sort of characteristics at different parts. So it's unlike, I think it's sort of more of a broad church than just black and white.
Okay, would you care to
That's not whether gender is constructed or not means. You were talking about sexual orientation. There is a
So
biological.
that's my point. Sorry, what were you talking about?
I meant gender. I think
You
gender is
meant
a
gender.
spectrum. Sorry. To be
Okay.
clear, I think gender is a spectrum.
Right. Gender is not socially constructed. That is a kooky progressive myth.
Yeah, Milo is spot on there. Gender is definitely not a social construct, and it is neither a spectrum. There's male and female. In humans, there are transgenders, which is now extremely trendy to talk about, and they are still male and female. It's just that they are born with a female body, but their brain is wired to, like a man, to think that they are man, and vice versa. So that's it. It's still just male and female. There is no third gender. There is no 1/3 male, 1/3 female, 1/3 zebra. Sorry, nope.
Gender has a bi.
No, that's fine.
What did I do now?
Just cut the line.
Say
You
I can't say kooky.
have every right to say kooky. However, you may say kooky as much as you like. I would just prefer that there were reports.
Hi, this is to Milo.
Okay.
You keep attacking Rebecca's work quite personally, and you said that she likes to objectify men, but she doesn't like women being objectified.
Mm-hmm.
She actually wrote an article how she didn't like Brooklyn Beckham being called something like young, sexy, and legal, and how she thought that it was wrong that he was called that by another article. So that clearly shows that she doesn't like.
Well, I never said she was consistent, but she did write an article in the wake of the Charlotte Proudman issue, and there was a lawyer who decided she didn't want to be a lawyer anymore, she wanted to be a Guardian columnist, so she made a name for herself by complaining that a man had said she looked nice. Well, I'm sorry, love. So she went to town, publicly shamed him.
I suspect this is verging the realms of ad hominem attacks.
I am really interested to hear where you're going there, because I don't think I read it.
In your
Okay.
piece, you said that if it was a man, you'd probably have laughed. Do you want me to quote it?
I'm genuinely, yes, I would, because I'm not saying you're wrong, I just don't remember writing it.
I'll find it while you're
After this, one last
replying.
question, just to clarify.
Yeah,
What
it
piece
was,
is this?
if I knew that a male member of staff was speculating about how I look naked, I would cause the sort of fuss that would make Charlotte Proudman look meek. If I heard a female colleague doing the same thing about Andrew in accounts, I'd probably laugh and I might even join in.
And I completely right. And do you know what? I think the fact that I would say something like that, but I think that is really problematic. I think that shows. I'm perfectly happy to accept that's a problematic way to think about men, and I should not have said that.
I'm not aware of the entire context of where that quote is taken from, and what is the incident that they're talking about. But I understand the gist of it. How she was basically showing her hypocrisy in the article itself, and sort of taking pride in it, her double standards. That if it would happen to her, then she would be very mad. She would raise all hell about it. But if it happened to a man, then that's just fine. And now, when she's confronted with this hypocrisy, she agrees that it's wrong. But instead of saying that, she says it's very problematic, which is this word. Well, Milo has the correct response for it. He laughs. It has become a farce. Is it right? Was your reaction, what you wrote, was it right or was it wrong? Do you agree or disagree with it? If it's wrong, why is it wrong? Is it hypocritical? Does it show a double standard? Perhaps you should have the same treatment for men as you do for women. So either change your treatment to men to be angry when someone does it to them, or change your response when it's done to women. Though I doubt that's going to happen. But instead of saying that, instead of talking honestly about what's going on here, she just writes it off as problematic, which is a word often used by feminists like her to basically describe everything and nothing. It's just something out there in the ether that might be a problem. Just sort of a vague language to say something, make some kind of noise without actually sort of committing, without saying this is right or this is wrong and here is why. Let's just call it problematic and leave it there.
One further question. Okay, it's time to move on from this question, I'm afraid. One more question, and preferably on a different topic. So, let's go once more to the balcony. Yes.
Yeah, I'll just say, if already it is illegal by law to pay a man more than a woman, or a woman more than a man, why then, why is the pay gap still exist in your mind back then? And secondly, what can you see about doing about it, beyond making it illegal, that can change the situation?
Sorry, I got distracted because it sounded like you said the pay gap in my mind, and that's what you meant, but it's not in my mind. What I would do about the pay gap would be, there's been a movement to publish more widely statistics, the figures of what people get paid.
But it is already illegal.
Do you want to hear me talk, or do you want to?
Hold on a second. It's an entirely valid point to make. Sir, could you please allow us to finish?
Companies like Barclays, which have a very well-developed structure, do their payment in bands, and they go from 1 to 9, and there is a set amount that you can be paid within each band, and you can find out what band each person is in, which means that you're never in any doubt about whether you are being paid less than a colleague. The other thing is, one of the big reasons for the pay gap is that women are not good at going and saying, I'm really good, I want a pay rise. So we need to encourage women to go and say, I need a pay rise because I'm worth it. And that is a big issue that women need to deal with themselves.
That man raises a strong point, a very strong point. What beyond making it illegal? What more do you want? What else do you want beyond that? That's an excellent fucking question. She is like taken aback by it for a second. And of course he's right. The pay gap has been just look it up on YouTube. Great fucking videos on it by TLDR, Skeptor. I'm sure Sagar Navakat has made some. He probably made some a while ago. Just a ton of them all over the place. Just look at them. Basically, the figure, the whole 77 cent thing. If you don't know, it's just they take the They add up all the money earned by men and all the money earned by women. And that's the difference. That is meaningless. It's irrelevant. The important thing is to take person A, man A, and woman A, working at the same job for the same amount of hours, with the same experience, all terms identical, and then check whether they earn differently. And when that is, of course, the relevant comparison, and when that comparison is made, there's no difference. If there is a difference, it's a few percentile, like up to 3-4%, which is sometimes accounted for by, like she said, actually, she is correct, they're not good at negotiating, women, etc. But whatever, very minor percent. So the whole spiel here about wage gap being real, that's just false. And that is why she's like, she has no real answer for this. We should encourage women to ask for more raises. Okay, they can ask for more and the boss can say no. Or they can, I don't know, sometimes get the raise and they might ask a bit more often if you encourage. I'm not even sure what she's suggesting here. But if truly you believe there is a 23% pay gap between the genders, surely this weak suggestion of instead of like once every 2 years, then once every year and a half or 1 year, go to the boss and ask for a raise, which he is completely within his right to say no to your request. Surely that will not solve any pay gap that exists.
Then how do you see it changing, apart from just constantly talking about it constantly? And saying...
Constantly talking about it constantly?
You need to actually go to these women and say, don't tell them all this nonsense. Go to them and say, if you are suffering, if you are not getting paid the same as a man, go to your employer. Don't arrange help.
Take him to court. I mean, you're
actually take them and tell them you can go to your employer. We'll help you find you and your employer get them to pay you more. One of them, give them a legal fees.
So you're suggesting that I should go to every woman in the UK and give them a legal fee?
I don't want to let her glib about people in the audience. It's sarcastic and glib and patronising. When people are asking serious questions, it's really disrespectful.
And also another thing about the whole pay gap thing, I intend, let's say I own a small business, which I don't have the figures in front of me, but I believe the vast majority of employers and employees and just businesses around, like over 80% or whatever high number, is small businesses of like 30 employees or less. Okay, so the number one expense, or one of the highest expenses that I have, is salary. If I can save 20 or more percent on an employee's salary and get the exact same output, exact same performance out of them, simply by hiring a female over a male, the entire office would be filled with females. It's just that simple. I would be able to save so much money on that. Just think about it. Of course I'd do it. I'd take it a step further even. If I own a small business and I can hire a man, pay him 100%, and get the same work, get a certain amount of work, or hire a female, get the same amount of work, pay her 80%, then I'd take the female, of course. If I can get a brain-enhanced, very well-trained zebra that can do the same amount of work. This is a remarkable species of zebras that can do everything. They can work on the computer, answer the phone, they can send emails, the whole thing. They can waste their time on Facebook like everybody else. So if I could get the zebra that works for 60% of the pay, then I will have a small zoo in the office filled with zebras doing that. All right, whatever species of mammal, any type of creature that can give me the same work and I'd have to pay them less, of course I'd take that. So it's just the whole pay gap thing fails at the common sense level first and foremost, because clearly, as we can see, there are still men in the job market, and there are still women that can't find a job for some reason, even though employers can save so much money on them. So either all the bosses out there are extremely misogynistic. They just hate women so much more than they love money. They are willing to lose 20% of a person's salary every month just so they would not hire a woman. Yeah, that doesn't sound very convincing, does it? And lastly, I was very impressed with Milo's closing speech. He's often sarcastic and has these little quips, but I actually like the serious Milo the most. So I'm just gonna play out the whole closing speech in its entirety. Enjoy.
Thank you. Milo, you're 5 minutes in. I want to address the men in the audience. Sorry, ladies. I love you, but this is for the boys. The question posed to us today was whether we've reached an age of gender equality. I don't think we have. We've overshot the age of gender equality by a long stretch, and men of your generation are going to be the primary victims of this error. In secondary school, you will have experienced a system that is tilted against boys. Your exams will have been primarily modular, not linear, a system that favours girls. Teachers will have tried to control and pathologise your boisterous behaviour, branding you young offenders for pranks or cyberbullies, for typical male teenage trash talk. Taunting, after all, is how men bond. Your female peers will be encouraged at every stage of their educational journey. They will be told to join a STEM field. They'll be showered, in fact, with grants and awards, prizes and encouragement. And then when they do get to applying for those jobs, you will be discriminated against just because they're a girl. You'll be the recipients of nothing. There are no programs for men. The suggestion of having a men's officer at York University was laughed at by the student union. At university, you will be told that you're rapists in waiting, that you need to attend consent classes. Your natural love and affection for women will be neutered. You will be faced with an impossible choice: suppress your natural, healthy romantic interest in women or risk a charge of rape or sexual harassment. If you speak out against this hostile and unfair environment, you will be persecuted by rabid mobs of politically correct lunatics, as well as the full force of the establishment media as well. When your studies are completed, you'll enter a jobs market that is stacked against you. With companies pressured from all directions to hire women, you will be at a 2-to-1 disadvantage if you are in STEM subjects, and possibly worse in others. If you do happen to land a job, a single inappropriate remark or a single accusation of an inappropriate remark or any unsubstantiated allegation can destroy your reputation forever. Despite all this, I'm not worried for you, because you're men. Your incalculable, intolerable, impossible obstacles have been placed before you precisely to overcome. And overcoming is what men do best. It's in the nature of men to battle on under impossible odds. We do that in war, we do that in all sorts of things, and we will do it here. Throughout your education, you will have been fed a grim history of what men have done through the centuries. You'll be told that straight white men are worse than the Nazis. You'll have been told nothing good about your sex, your race, or your orientation. But I'm going to tell you something good, and it is, if the patriarchy exists, women should be grateful for it. It is what took us to space. It is what builds roads, It is what built the internet. It is what protects and provides for women. If it exists, thank God it does. With their strength and determination, men have tamed the wilderness. Men built cities and walls around us. They built the buildings that we're in. Their curiosity led us to explore the oceans. Their ingenuity has allowed us to reach the moon. And whenever, feminism rises up and tries to ridicule you, to demean you for what you are, and, it's interesting, like, I was going to talk at this university, right, and I was called by my interlocutor a troll. She said it would demean the institution to have me here. When she talked about a Sunday Times article by a respected journalist, she sought to demonize him, even though he's not here to defend himself. She said Martin Daubney was a bad person. Martin Daubney is a close friend of mine. He's a great person. He spent the last 5 years of his life advocating for the rights of men and boys. But this is what they do. Don't pay any attention to it. Don't listen to it. We're not in an age of gender equality. Straight white women in the West are the most privileged class in the history of our species. But you'll be fine.